Presents Eveland Access Summerfest Music by the River 2024. June 1st from noon to 10 p.m. featuring 8 musical artists with live music, activities like bingo, sand volleyball, and cornhole, food, and much, much more. It's a free event at the Eveland Access Campgrounds at 2890 Galveston Avenue, Oskaloosa. Bring a friend and have a lot of fun at the Eveland Access Summerfest 2024 Music by the River. June 1st from noon to 10 at the Eveland Access Campgrounds. And it is time for the sports section live from Brothers Market here in downtown Sigourney on a Saturday morning, located at 118 South Main Street in Sigourney. Give them a call at 641-622-2191. Make sure you download the Brothers Market digital app for all the great deals. Let's check in with Jenny Hobbs for the beginning of our show. Jenny, how you doing this morning?
Good deal. Just waiting for the rain.
It's coming.
It's coming. Hey, sports fans. I'll just do a quick, the week that was. I didn't get my homework done. But this week we had Sickle Golf. We had Sickle Track Meet. Congratulations to the EV girls on their big win on a track meet that took 2 days because of the rain. And then we will say next week, coming up is all the big sectionals and districts, and so good luck to all area athletes as they try to qualify for state. The other big happening, which was just last night, was Caitlin Clark's much anticipated WNBA debut, and let's just say she did not disappoint. So she put up some really good numbers, and so I'm excited because I know I have bought the WNBA pass so I can watch all the games, because I guess I can't get a ticket now, so I guess I'll just watch it on TV. So there you go, Steve, the week that was.
All right. While we transition between segments here, let's take a look at our Athlete of the Week. It's brought to us by Keokuk County Hospital and Clinics, and as voted on by you guys here on Steve Shetler Media Facebook, we have HLVTC Tracks Aaliyah Cooper. Congratulations to Aaliyah. She was voted our Athlete of the Week, the second HLVTC athlete in a row to be voted our Athlete of the Week. And then our Team of the Week, brought to us by Kelly Style at State Farm Insurance in Oskaloosa. Montezuma Girls Golf voted our Team of the Week. So they had a great week here a couple of weeks ago. Montezuma Girls Golf and Aaliyah Cooper, our Team of the Week and Athlete of the Week here on Steve Shetler Media. Now, Jenny Hobbs, you have a much-anticipated guest on to do some great broadcasting things. Take it away, guys.
Gina, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh my God, yeah, this is a big deal here, sports fans. This is huge. Okay. Anyway, let's just start from the very beginning. Tell us about your background, how you grew up, all those sorts of things.
Well, I'm originally from Alabama, so I was born in Alabama. And my family moved here to Sigourney in '65. The football coach, because of course, Bob Howard is a legendary football coach in Iowa. And I don't want to discredit his basketball coaching skills, but he was the football coach.
Best coach. If he knew of anybody that had kept the bottom of the bleacher that he always kicked when he got mad, and he didn't know where that bleacher ended.
Yes, I very much remember that.
Probably had to be replaced a couple times.
Yeah.
So what are you currently doing?
So I have a full-time gig. I worked for, but I'm also a public address announcer, and mostly now I work for the University of Iowa and for USA Volleyball.
Oh.
So those are my two main gigs right now, and just announcing. I used to do TV and radio, but I kind of stopped doing that.
So where do you announce USA Volleyball at?
So USA Volleyball, I work for, I do their junior national championships. So this will be my third year. So the first year was in Indianapolis. Second year was in Chicago, and this year's in Vegas. So, and it's a huge deal for volleyball people. I'm sure you're well aware of it. But there are just thousands of kids. I think in Chicago there were 82 courts. It was at McCormick Place, so everybody knows that's a huge convention center, and it was full. So it's really fun to.
Yes.
I only do the gold medal matches, and so we have different gold medal matches at different age groups and different divisions. But I know in Indianapolis 2 years ago, yeah,
From Mid Prairie. That's awesome. So, how did you get into public announcing, public address announcing? How did that all shake out?
all right, here's the
Okay,
story.
okay,
All right, let's go
okay,
along.
here we go.
So I was in from
Well, we got some stories about
yeah
that.
from WMT Radio, and Ryan had actually gotten me into radio with him, doing some color commentary on the radio. So after my coaching certificate expired and I didn't renew it, I was sitting in the stands one night at a Wash ball game, and the athletic director at the time, Denny Gettle, came up to me and said, "Hey, we don't have a PA announcer for Friday. Would you ever consider doing that?" And I'm like, all right, sure, I can do it. I can speak in a microphone, no problem. And I know basketball, so yeah. So I did all of the Wash games, and then I did multiple sports, and then I started getting calls from other schools, and then a friend in another school got me in at state volleyball. And then once I started doing state volleyball, then they got me in at state basketball, and then that's where I met the guy from the University of Iowa, and then that's just so it's who you know, and
It is.
and you never know who's listening, kind of thing.
Okay, so let's talk about Ryan for a second.
Okay,
Ryan
all
Schlater. So in 2002, when the Mid Prairie Girls won
Yep.
state, I was lucky enough to do his color for those games. And I don't know if I did permanent damage to him, but the state championship game was close, and we had to hit Mid Prairie had to hit a game-winning shot. So I mean, we were standing up at. I mean, it was still at Vets.
Oh, it's so
and
little room.
the little yes, I don't know, little
They were like overhang things.
yes.
or
You
something.
were like,
yeah.
and I was always afraid that I was gonna
yes.
crash it down.
Yes.
But I'm like hitting up, trying not to get too excited on the radio. But anyway, that was fun, and I've known Ryan a long time.
Yeah.
But he's a character.
He is a character, and I worked with Ryan for probably 20 some years, on and off doing color. I was his color commentary person on radio, and then we started working KCRG 9.2 TV games, and we did those for several years too. So been to a lot of high school gymnasiums with Mr. Schlater over the years.
So what is your let's talk about what's your favorite to do?
Well, I used to think color commentary was my favorite, but then I really think PA announcing is my favorite. Basketball is certainly my favorite sport, but I tell you, I've become very, very, I really like field hockey. I do Iowa field hockey. And of course, it's not something we have here at the high
Yep.
school level in Iowa. And when I started doing it, I told them, I said, I've never seen a field hockey game ever. And they're like, you'll be fine. Okay. So they taught me, and now I'm hooked. I would encourage anyone to come out. I'm going to put in a plug. The season starts in August and usually ends in November. The games are all free. And the field hockey pitch in Iowa City is kind of across from Iowa City West.
Yep.
So over there by the recreation center. And I tell you, it's a beautiful facility. It's got a lot of history with Dr. Grant, Dr. Christine Grant. The pitch is named after her. The team is great. It's the only Iowa women's team that's ever won an NCAA title, and we're always in the top 4.
I was
or
gonna
top
say,
5.
yes.
Yeah. And they're amazing athletes. Field hockey is so fast. They're constantly running. It's kind of like hockey, kind of days around noon. If you have a chance to come out, I guarantee you won't regret it.
How big is the ball? Is it like a softball, or is it even smaller?
I would call it's smaller than a softball, bigger than a baseball, and they're hard.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They're
They're hard.
they're hard. So, how many Iowa women's basketball games have you done?
Well, I'm the backup PA announcer.
Okay.
So I'm not the full-time gig. Many of you know probably Dave Gallagher, who is the full-time guy, one of the biggest Hawkeye fans in the world, I think. But I'm the backup. So whenever Dave is not available, I jump in. So this past year, I did 3 games.
Good.
And then kind of over the past couple years, it's usually been 1 or 2.
Okay.
I'd love the full-time gig, but I'm pretty sure that Dave's not going to give it up. So,
Oh, good. No, I would not give it up.
yeah.
So what's your favorite story from any of your announcing? What's your favorite story?
Oh my goodness. Well, there's tons of good ones. I mean, there's obviously the mistakes I've made. I've always told those. But you know, for me, it's probably being the first woman to do something at each venue or for each sport. I like breaking that ceiling, and as I like to say, I want to open the door and let others come in. So that's probably it. I know I was the first woman to announce at Carver Hawkeye Arena, announce a
Awesome.
game. I was the first woman to ever do football at Kingston Stadium in Cedar Rapids. So I love that. I'm also told I was the first woman for high school or state volleyball.
Okay.
Uh,
Which I think is crazy.
I do. I agree. So there's just a lot of those firsts. But again, I don't want to just be the first and only. I want to be the first that walked through the door, and now I'm holding it open for everyone else.
Awesome. Good. And we talked earlier about Title 19 and Title 9 and why did I say 19? Anyway, and when I played at Iowa State, we celebrated the 50th anniversary of Iowa State women's basketball this year, and I played 30 years ago. It's like, so I felt like,
Yeah.
you in perspective, you're like, kind of like a pioneer almost.
Absolutely.
And I'm so proud that, women are still, breaking the ceiling and opening the doors.
Yes.
And I think, that's just amazing.
Yeah,
So-
I agree. And by the way, just speaking of Iowa State, Karen Gerard here from Sigourney was on one of the first basketball teams at Iowa State. Yeah,
And I made contact with her
Yes.
after that article they wrote about her, and I was just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That is the coolest thing.
And I'm sorry, I forget the name, but this year at state basketball, so I still do the state basketball Hall of Fame induction ceremony.
Oh, yes.
And we inducted one of Karen's teammates into the Hall of Fame this year. And
Oh.
so that was just really cool, like you said, to see, those pioneers. And, we've got, more work to do, but I'm very proud of our history, and I'm very proud of, we just keep fighting.
And I'm proud of in Iowa, especially small town Iowa, where we've had 6-on-6 basketball, since the turn of the century.
Yeah.
I mean, we were a very progressive
Absolutely.
state, and they might have been playing in skirts, but they sold out vets
Yep.
more than the guys did.
Yep, I'm very proud of that. And I don't know, I mean, I certainly got one, but when Ray Gun came out with that I played 6-on-6 T-shirt, oh man, I think I hit buy before it was like 10 seconds old online. I had to have it.
Yeah, and of course I bought one that said, "Bring back the Big 8." But,
Well, as I sit here in my big
I was gonna say,
10,
that's
big
all right.
15, whatever it is now.
oh, I know. Ooh,
Yeah.
that's going to be crazy. So if you had dream gig, any announcing job anywhere, what would it be?
Well, it's more venues maybe
Okay.
than it is particular teams. I'd love to go to Madison Square Garden. I'd love to have my voice there. I think that would be a big one. I'm a huge Kansas City Chiefs fan and have been for many, many, many years. So Arrowhead would
Oh,
be cool.
yes.
But just having a female voice in a major football stadium, I think would be huge. Whether it be at Kinnick, whether it be at Bryant Denny, whether it be at the Big House at Michigan, anywhere, whether it's my voice or another female voice, that is the thing.
Cool. Super Bowl. Let's dream big. Super Bowl.
Super Bowl or so the PA announcing world, especially for women, is kind of small. And so one of my friends, Jamie Coffey, she's the one who does the Women's Final Four.
Okay.
She also has done, she did a game for the 49ers, San Francisco 49ers. She also did a Giants game recently. And she used to do the, I'm just blanking. What's the West Coast Conference that's dissolving?
Pac-12.
The Pac-12. She did the Pac-12 men's basketball tournament. Yeah, so that kind of stuff is what's making me very, very happy.
I was thinking with USA or volleyball, do you think you'll get it announced at the Olympics when it comes to LA?
I tell you, that's a bucket list item. And I don't know for volleyball because I'll just admit volleyball is not my top tier sport. I love it, but it's not there. But USA field hockey,
Oh yeah.
they qualified for the Paris Olympics this year, and it's so exciting for me to see names that I've announced and coaches that I know that are going to be at the Olympics. That's huge. But yeah, I actually renewed my passport last year just in case I would get a last minute call because you never know.
Never know.
And I didn't want lack of passport being the reason I couldn't go. So I have it in my pocket, and that would be awesome.
So, secret to success. So there's girls out there women that really want to get into the radio world, TV world. What advice do you want to give them?
Say yes. Just say yes. You don't have to be qualified. You don't have to have 500 years of experience. You just have to say yes. So, and make yourself out there and be assertive. I think that's one thing we as women don't always do is we accept what we're given, and say thank you. And we need to be aggressive, be assertive, go for what you want, make it, but just don't be afraid to say yes.
And I think true. And I think being assertive, pretty sure my first time doing color for KCII with Ryan and whoever else was there, it's changed a lot. I called and said, hey, I'm not coaching currently, or do you want somebody? Because I knew the team that I was playing and I felt that I could give. Because, sometimes you listen and you're just like, ooh, like,
yeah.
It's like, I feel I could do better.
Yes, yeah.
So, so you do put yourself out there. And then afterwards, I say we always look to improve.
Absolutely.
So I'm saying right here, or, we need to get a stop right here. Well, just say we need to get a stop. I mean,
that's
anyway.
good because you don't always get feedback.
Yeah.
And so asking for feedback, and then something I always did is I would rewatch. So a lot of my games, if they were, televised, I'd go back and rewatch them and critique myself because we're obviously hardest on ourselves.
Oh, yes.
Always. But go back and critique yourself. And then, like you said, it's like anything else. It's practice and getting better and saying yes.
Okay, so of course we have to talk about what is your signature call, like let's say Iowa State football, always said that's another cyclone, and then you let the whole crowd go first down.
Yeah.
Or like
Touchdown, Iowa.
exactly.
Yeah.
What's your signature? A lot of times it's for three.
Yeah. I don't think I really have one.
Okay.
And here's why. Let me explain why. Because everyone's different, and you put your personality into it. But Coach Paul James, taught me when I first started PA announcing that less is more.
Yep.
And if you don't see it, don't say it. And so there are a lot of PA announcers that are very, out there. And I feel my job is not to make myself the spotlight. I am there to highlight the players and the team. So I am much more, I don't want to say black and white because you do hype up the crowd, but I'm not quite like that. But I would say the most one I get the most comments on is at field hockey, because at field hockey when we score a goal we throw out a free T-shirt.
Okay.
So I say, you ready?
Yep.
And that's a Hawkeye goal! And a free T-shirt! Make some noise! So that's probably it.
Okay. Oh, good deal.
You asked.
Yeah. I know, and I wanted because it seems like there's at least, again, thank you, because I think it is all about the kids, and it is kind of annoying when somebody's talking. It's like, wait a minute, they're the play's starting again.
Right.
Shh, like I want to watch the game, but that's awesome. And anytime they ask, I love announcing the kids' names for a high school basketball game, and try to put a little flair into it.
Yes.
But and then be quiet.
Yeah, and that's what I do. Like for Iowa women's basketball, of course, everyone knows that you put a little more. I would say a little more. I guess you do the whole game, but when you do the starting lineups, that's when everybody's actually listening to you. Not always during the game does everyone listen to the PA announcer. I get that, but during starting lineups, they do. And so, I try to, number one, make sure I pronounce the name correctly.
Yes.
That is so huge, and that's my number one job.
Yeah, I was ask the SID. Ask the other coach.
Ask the kid if you can't. Yeah. This happens a lot. You ask the coach. Coaches don't know.
Exactly.
If you tell me how to pronounce it, that's what I'm going to say.
That's so good. Any other great stories like that? That's good stuff.
Let's see. The thing for me is a lot of times, especially at high school games, and anybody who's announced at a high school game or a youth tournament or something like that, you will hear this where you think you're pronouncing it correctly because the coach has told you that's how you pronounced it, and you write it down phonetically. And even though you go over it in your mind 45 times before you say it, when it comes out of your mouth, it doesn't always come out correctly. And then, or you hear people in the background going, and so I always just turn around before the game and say, look, I'm doing my best here. If I don't pronounce it correctly, tell me. Come tell me. Don't sit there and laugh at me or get irritated by it. Come tell me. So there's challenging names that the first time you say them, you kind of trip over them. But then, then they get easier. So a couple that I can think of off the top of my head. And there's a big team out of Arkansas that's always very, very good every year. And they have kids from Italy, kids from, I think it was Yugoslavia, a lot of the Eastern Bloc countries. Again, these are probably the most difficult names for us as Americans. There's lots of consonants in there. And I'd asked the coach, and he looked at me like I had horns coming out of my head. He's like, I don't know how to pronounce that. So then I finally found somebody who did. But some of the Hawaiian names, when you first look at the Hawaiian names.
With all the apostrophes.
Yeah, and lots of vowels.
Yes.
Your eyes get big, but then once you say them, they're okay. But
much do you guys think they practice all those names?
Well,
because sometimes when they're pretty flawless.
Yeah.
Really on NBC or whatever.
It depends on the sport, and it depends on the amount of time you have for preparation. Obviously, if you've got multiple games with different teams, that could be a bit of a challenge. But like I said, that's your number one job is to not mess up somebody's name. So what I do, for example, if I know I'm doing a basketball game, I go out and pull the rosters and start pronouncing them. And a lot of times there will be like a little ear. If you go out and look at any college roster, there'll be a little ear next to it, and that'll be the pronunciation. Sometimes the athletic department will send me like an audio file. And what I love is there's some schools that actually have the student athlete standing in front of a camera saying their name, which I love that because then you just mimic that. But other things I've had to do are Google searches on how to pronounce, like if I find a Irish name, for example, which is oftentimes spelled very differently than the way it's pronounced. You can do a Google search on how to pronounce it, and then at least you have a start. Okay. And then what I do is I take the roster and I like to read it and have them correct me, because if they read it, it's you hear it different than you say it, and so I always like to say it first and have them correct me. But to answer your question, for me it could be up to a week in advance if I have that time.
I guess I don't really have much more. I mean, I'll think of more, but what's your question, Steve?
I was going to ask. It's funny because we live here in small town Sigourney, and Sigourney has actually produced several announcing, broadcasting names over the last 30 years or so. I had a stint in radio doing what I'm doing now. Bob James, of course, just wrapped up a Hall of Fame radio career with K-Hawk in Cedar Rapids, and now we've got you doing your thing. So it's kind of incredible that a town of 2,000 people over the years has produced, a few kind of standout broadcast announcers.
Well, I'm happy to be included in that. Thank you very much. But I talk about just how small town Sigourney has produced, not just in sports and not just announcing, some amazing people.
Yes.
For such a small town, we have really branched out. A lot of notable people, but yet also we're still connected. You know, we're still connected not only to the hometown, but just to the whole area. You know, I think of knew a lot of people in Kyoto. I hung out in Kyoto a lot when I was in high school. So you know, or EV or whatever. I just feel the Girls Athletic Union, and there's a Sigourney team or a Kyoto team or the officials. You know, Ross Hemsley
Yes.
and Steve Klein. Those guys are oftentimes at state tournament. You know, it's like, that's my people. You know, that's my team.
And I was also thinking, and that's funny because, you know, I've reached out to you, Gina, before when I was in radio. I was like, hey, Gina, you want to do a game? Or, you know, it didn't work out, but
Yeah.
I'll still be hitting you up occasionally here for Steve Shetler Media. In fact, I was thinking maybe the two of you, I should get you two to team up and do some sort of sport. I don't know what, but I'm just winging it right now, but I think that'd
would
be a
be
lot
fun.
of fun.
I
I'm
think we'd
not a
have
very
fun.
good play-by-play person.
You know, I've never tried play-by-play, and I've always wanted to. So there you go. I'll try it.
All right.
See, this is saying yes, people. This
Yes.
is putting yourself out there. I've never done it, but I thought, well, you know, I could probably do that.
you can do that.
Maybe.
I'd have to practice a lot to do play-by-play.
Yeah. Just so I'm going to transition back here and ask you a question.
Oh, okay.
So we mentioned it at the top of the broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
Last night was Caitlin Clark's debut with the Indiana Fever in that preseason exhibition game, I guess, in Dallas. And I thought, once again, as she always does, she delivered. Even with
delivered.
all that pressure on her, she delivered.
How about the little step back when Sheldon fell down? I was like, oh, that looks familiar. Ohio State.
That was all over social media this
Yes.
morning, at least what I saw,
Yeah.
is that particular picture. But yeah, how about that? It's been, so now I'll tell you
Okay.
some more stories. Okay.
Okay.
All right, you
That's
can
fine.
just stop me because I'm a
No,
talker.
no, watching us.
So
right.
this year, I was honored to be on the table crew for Iowa women's basketball. And what that means is you're kind of the backup for everything. And so, of course, mainly I was there as the backup PA announcer, you know, if needed. But I also learned how to keep the book and score. I learned how to be the officials liaison. And then, honestly, just having a front row seat to this historicness has been amazing. And so before one of the games that I was announcing, Caitlin Clark always has this thing where she comes up and she, you know, fist bumps everyone. And she came up and she gave me a fist bump and she started walking away. And I said, hey, Caitlin. She turned around and I just said, thank you. Thank you for all of this. And she just smiled. And I thought, see, it gets me choked
Yeah.
up because it's like it's such a big deal. And then my favorite player, nothing against Caitlin because she's amazing and she's done amazing things for women, but I'm a Kate Martin fan.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Kate Martin,
Yes.
she worked field hockey with us for several years because she was in the sports management or sports recreation. I get them confused. Or marketing. I don't know which one. Department one year. I think it was when she was a sophomore maybe or junior. Anyway, she worked with us, and when I did that call for the goal, she was the T-shirt thrower, but she also sat next to me and was the DJ, played music. So I got to know Kate really well, and all the stories that you read about Kate about being a good person are 100% accurate, and all the good things that are happening to her, I am so happy for her.
I
right
think
now.
she'll make the team.
I hope she does because, like I said, USA Volleyball is in Vegas this summer, and if she makes the team and the Aces are in town, you know I'm going.
Heck yes.
But I would always fist bump Kate before every single game. That was our jam.
I became a Sydney fan.
Yo,
Talk about stepping up and
I'm telling you.
just doing
And knowing
all
your
the little
role,
things.
accepting your role. I mean,
Oh.
you could think about she could start for how many other
Oh,
teams?
Everybody.
But she just really stepped up, knew her role, and did what she did for the team. And then Hannah Stolke.
Yes.
So I've known Hannah
I was going to say, probably, she's a
since
Wash
she was
girl.
born.
Yeah.
Her mother, I knew her mother when she played at Wash. And so seeing Hannah blossom and you know, I'm a Powerpuffs person.
Oh.
I love it when she wears her hair like that. But I have probably 2 or 3 of those Hannah's
Okay,
t-shirts.
t-shirts.
Yeah. But just being able to see, for those that have been to the games and in those that have not and watch them on TV, when that hype video starts and 15,000 people stand up and they're going nuts, whether I'm announcing or not, just the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. I get tears in my eyes every single time because it's just so awesome. And then turning to Iowa State. Oh, yes. What?
I did not expect that at all.
No. Who did?
I thought this is the year we're just gonna have to, take our lumps. But they're freshmen, and then they're getting the transfer in from Truman State. They just shot lights out, and
Yeah.
I'm a huge Audie Crooks fan.
Huge Audie Crooks fan.
Huge Addie Brown.
Yeah.
Well, even Kelsey Jones. I thought in the Big 12 semifinal game,
She really stepped up.
it was a huge spark.
Yeah,
She,
absolutely
when they were
agree.
down 20 to Oklahoma, and she had a huge spark, and just that was the difference in the game.
Yeah.
Her hitting a couple shots and getting a steal, and anyway, I went to I hung out with them at the practice facility and all that stuff, and got a picture taken with Audie, and talking about a good kid.
Oregon team was there every year, and she was always so kind. I have a picture with her as well. And I'm so happy to see how she's transitioned because people were unsure. I mean, her body type
Yeah.
isn't what you would normally expect.
And that's another, let's say, a disadvantage of being a female is that that's all they're talking
Yep,
about.
exactly. But
And if
you
it's
know
a
what?
guy, they call him big country,
Yeah.
and it's cool. But for a female, it's like, oh my gosh, how did
Yeah.
she run up and down the court?
And she's showing them, and I
Oh,
love it. I
yes.
love it when people question you and then you show up. Caitlin, Audie,
Yep.
Sid,
Yep.
everybody. They're unsure about you. You just show up and said, "Let me just show you what I can do."
I tell you what, the Iowa State Stanford game, that was an instant classic.
Oh my gosh!
It was one of the best. Boom, Iowa State hit a big three. It was just like all the time, just.
Well, and Stanford, you think
Yeah.
blue blood team, you think Tara Vanderveer. I'm like, oh my gosh, and the little girl in me or the younger woman in me that watched these blue blood teams, UConn, and then Iowa beats them. Stanford, Iowa State beats them. I mean, talk about being proud to be
Yeah.
from Iowa because of women's basketball. Come on.
And then all the sports shows, all the talk is Caitlin Clark and Audie Crooks.
I know, and it's
mean, it's like,
two
yes.
Iowa high school girls, and Audie from tiny little Bishop Garrigan, and they are all over the national news. That's just so cool.
Yeah, yeah. Power to the woman.
Well, it's true, and I probably sound like that,
Yeah, well, no, but
There's a
it's
lot
true.
of men who support us as well, and we wouldn't be who we're at without that support and those men who advocate for the women. One of my favorite sayings.
There's a lot of good girl dads out there.
Yeah, there are.
A lot of good girl dads.
There are. And one of my favorite sayings for women, and I feel like we kind of fall into this, is empowered women empower women. And I think that we're starting to see that a lot. I was hoping my shirt was in, but it's on back order. That T-shirt that says everyone watches women's sports, women in sports.
Exactly.
Let's be in the game.
And so anyway, yeah, I'm very excited. And again, and I love men's basketball and I love watching football.
Yeah. Oh, I'm a huge football person. Yeah, huge.
No problem with that either. So let's just all play. Everybody gets to play.
Everybody support one another.
Yes.
Let's not attack each other. Let's support one another.
Thank you. Because, the big Iowa State thing. It's like, first of all, I grew up a Hawkeye, so yes, I love the Hawks. But I went to Iowa State, so yes, I love Iowa State. So I don't understand why we can't like each other. Like, if they're not playing each other,
Agreed.
and I like Drake, and I like you and
Yep,
I
do
and
too.
Let's just go for Central and Simpson and Wartburg and cheer them all on.
Absolutely, and let's get into this a little bit. There's the whole back and forth of the different, not just Iowa and Iowa State, but if we look at women's basketball, there's the LSU Iowa.
Oh, yeah.
There's the whole thing, and the people that say the negative things. I mean, you can say negative things at home, but these are student athletes, and not only that, they're humans, they're people. So you don't.
And they're kids.
Why
Really?
attack? Why, like you were talking about, Audie, and I don't get it. Why be mean? It doesn't. You can support your team by being positive with your team without having to tear down the other team or being negative to them. So that's a big thing. When you're working at the bench, you hear people.
Yeah.
Oh, you hear people in the crowd.
Fan, sports fan, in the dictionary, and it says positive supporter.
Absolutely.
So exactly. That's why I don't like when they chant airball.
Yeah.
It's like, if you can tell me you've never ever shot an airball in your life, then you can chant that.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you haven't. And usually it makes the person mad and they
It's
go down and
exactly what I
start
was
going
gonna say.
off.
Exactly what I was
Sure,
gonna say.
they just scored 10 points in a row. Thanks.
Yeah,
You know, it's
yeah.
like, don't.
Or the officials, getting on the officials.
What's that gonna do?
Oh my gosh. Have you ever? So Jenny, we have both official change a call because somebody's parent in the stands was yelling at them. Ever?
No, and that's
Never.
why I tell every kid I've ever coached is like, when that whistle's blown, you are not going to change the call.
Yeah.
So why complain about it?
Yeah.
Don't worry. Me as the coach, I'll remind them if I don't agree with the call,
Right.
and then I'll let it go. Some coaches just keep. It's like the play's over.
Yeah.
Tell them you didn't agree,
Move
and
on.
then move on.
Yeah.
So it's like, no, I've never, and actually, I've felt over the years that it's helped my team, and maybe we've gotten calls down the stretch because my kids sprint out the door when the ball rolls all the way out, you know, and gets the ball
Yes.
and gives it to the official.
Yes.
Or they just, you know, have a, okay, well, I traveled, give the ball. But
I know,
I
I
understand
know.
the competitiveness.
I know.
Yeah, it actually helps your team when you're friendly, like just softball. The catcher chats with the umpire the entire time. You know, that helps
Yeah.
the team. And I'm not saying they're going to give you favorable calls, but if it's close either way, you probably will
Yeah.
have a little advantage.
Yeah, and it translates into life too.
It
I mean,
does.
so okay, I didn't get that one. I'll go back and get the next one,
Yes.
or I'll learn from that. I made a mistake.
And that plays over. You can't go back. So,
yeah.
play for the next one.
That's the hardest thing for me, sitting at the table, or at least in basketball, because the crowd is closer to you, is to listen to those negative comments, and it takes everything I have not to turn around and just give it the old stink eye. You know, that's not my job, it's not my role, but it's
Yeah.
like, man, that's a 19-year-old kid, you know, or 19-year-old young adult, young woman, young man. You don't need that.
Well, and my other philosophy on that is until you've played in front of 20,000 people, you're telling me you're not going to be nervous. You're not going to make
Absolutely.
mistakes. And then you have to go back the next day and watch game film
Yeah.
and see that mistake all over again. Or now in the days of social media, you're going to see that mistake
Absolutely.
over and over and over again. So Grandpa Joe doesn't need to be yelling from the stands. I know at that instant that I made a mistake. I
Yeah.
don't need people telling me.
Right.
So
and
leave it alone.
and how strong must these athletes be, to touch on what you just said with social media right now, to see that over and over again, but then to still be like, you know what, next play.
Yep.
You know, kudos to them. That they have to be very strong. It has
Well-
to be tough.
Well, that Kent State player that thought they scored to go ahead, but he thought they were down one, and so he fouls. And then the guy go right there. I mean, just people just go. It's like let the kid go.
Yeah.
Let him go.
Yep. Agreed.
Steve, anything?
Yes. Let's do some advertising.
Okay.
Let's take a look at this from our host Brothers Market here in downtown Sigourney. Their digital deals of the week. Again, download the digital app and take advantage of these and many more deals going on, including some great deals on Brothers Market water, Rotel tomatoes, and Frito-Lay Tostitos. Get some great deals going on there with the app from Brothers Market, and you can also do some shopping at shopbrothersmarket.com. Savings made simple with digital coupons. You can earn rewards, deal of the week, shopping deals. Again, get the app. It's a smart way to shop. It's the Brothers Market app, digital app. Get that on your phone and get a bunch of great deals. Let's go back to Jenny Hobbs and Gina Rogers.
All right, we're going to do a segment called This or That. So I'm going to give you a choice. And
Okay.
you just, whatever comes to your mind first.
All right.
Okay, and some of these I do every week, so they're just on the list. I put in always a couple special for my guest.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll just start out like we always do. TikTok or Instagram?
Instagram.
Facebook or Snapchat?
Facebook. I'm old.
I know, me too. Facebook. Radio or TV?
So I have to explain this one.
Okay.
A lot of times when I'm watching a TV game, especially football, I will turn off the audio on the TV and listen to the radio. So I'm still kind of a radio girl at heart, and I like the way radio calls the game. So, but I like seeing what's happening.
Yes.
But if you've got good announcers on the radio and they're laying it out for you, I'm going to go radio.
If I'm stuck somewhere and I have to drive home and I'm, listening to a game, I can envision myself there. They did
Yeah,
such a good
me
job.
too. Me too.
Well, the famous Iowa catch to win, was it the Outback Bowl that year or what? Anyway,
I think
in
it was.
Orlando.
Tate to Holloway.
Yes, Tate to Holloway. And it was icy out. And I was coming back from Ames and I got stuck in traffic and I wasn't home yet. So I was by basically Southeast Polk High School when that was all going down and just listening to Dolph and those guys going, the clock is running. And
Yeah.
I'm like, call a timeout or
Yeah.
call it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hike it. Like, oh my God. I was like trying to stay on the road. It's icy. I'm like, oh my God. So yeah, it's pretty fun. Jeans or sweatpants?
Oh, sweatpants, 100%.
And I kind of know the answer, but I always know the answer to this first. Hawkeyes or Cyclones?
Well, I'm going to refer back to you.
Okay.
So before I started working at Iowa, I was more of a Cyclone fan. And of course, I was a huge Alabama fan because that's where I'm from. But now, since I work for the University of Iowa and I gotten to know the people and the athletes, that I'm going to say, go Hawks.
So then on that side, Drake or UNI?
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go both. I'm equal on both of those.
Yeah.
I had some former players at UNI. And then, Drake, a lot of people I worked with are Drake. Both. I'm going to go both. I
Okay.
can't make a choice.
Driver or shotgun?
Oh,
Going
100%
on a road
driver.
trip.
100% driver. 100%.
Math or science?
Science.
Oh, that a girl. Small town or big city?
There's good things about both. But obviously I'm more of a small town person.
Steak or a good burger?
Steak. If you can afford it.
Okay. Oh God. Well then let's go medium rare or well done.
Ah.
Or in
I
between.
like medium well.
Oh, okay.
I'm in between.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in between.
And I don't know if you watch these shows, but I was trying to think of something different last
Okay.
night. American Idol or America's Got Talent?
I don't watch either of those shows. I don't watch much TV, actually.
well, that's good for you. That's good.
I don't watch much TV.
I'm going to say America's Got Talent because it's a wide variety of
Okay.
people. Football or basketball? Your favorite sport?
Basketball, 100%.
Cat or dog?
I'm probably more cat. Yeah, I've had both, but probably more cat.
Shopping now, online or in the store?
Online.
Me too. Vacation destinations, beach or mountains?
I ask myself this question a lot. and again, I am right down the middle. I like both. Yeah. So I'm a Libra, so I can see both sides, and
Okay.
so it comes out in my personality a lot. So both.
Now, if you were to stop by the local pizza ranch,
Mm-hmm.
would you more likely get chicken or pizza?
Pizza.
Reese's peanut butter cup or Snickers?
Reese's.
Okay. And then, we're all getting up there in age. So I suppose we need to think about retirement, maybe. Not for a long time for me, but pickleball or golf?
Golf. 100% golf.
I don't think I could play pickleball. My knees are
Yeah,
shot.
I don't think I could either. And then I would also probably be a little too aggressive, and then I would probably hurt myself.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that would be bad.
Or think that I'm really good and hurt myself.
Yeah. Well, I'd be aggressive competitive, not aggressive good. Yeah.
All right, that ends this or that.
All right. Do we have our pick'ems up next?
Oh, yes, we do.
All right. Well, let's take a look at that graphic here. Let's see here. The latest pick'ems standings. Our guest pickers still in the lead after last week with 28 correct picks. Now, Jenny, you are in second place with
had a rough
27.
Yeah.
And then I'm pulling up the rear. I'm still last place, 25. So I did make up some. That's sad. I made up ground last
did.
week, but I'm still like way behind. So it's 28, 27, 25 during this quote unquote season of the Pick'ems, the Coach Hobbs season here on the sports section. So what do we got for games this week, Jenny?
All right, again, it's a tough time of year. It's all pro sports, pretty much. But the first game, We're in the NBA. Minnesota Timberwolves are at the Denver Nuggets. Now, this is game 1 of the Western semifinals. So they both won their first round games. This is round 2, game 1 at Denver.
Okay, so let me preface this by saying, Steve, I'm going to challenge you for the bottom. Just so you know, I don't watch. The only pro sports I watch are the NFL. That's all I watch is football. So, with that being said, I'm going to go Timberwolves.
Timberwolves. I'm going to go Nuggets. Again, yeah.
Whenever I think of Denver, I go back to like the 90s and I think of Dikembe Mutombo and his finger wagging.
Not in my house.
And I probably haven't really watched the NBA since then. But I know they got a good team, obviously. I'll go Denver.
All right. Game 2 on our list is NBA again. This time it's still the first round, but it's Orlando Magic at the Cleveland Cavaliers, game 7. So this is to move on. Again, Orlando at Cleveland, game 7. So the series is tied 3-3.
So again, not an NBA person because I was a high school coach and I just can't do it.
I can't.
I'm
watch.
sorry.
I can't either.
But just because the women's Final Four was there this year, I'm going to go Cleveland.
I'm going to go Cleveland just because they're the home team and it's game 7.
Okay.
That's it.
And I'll go Orlando since you both went Cleveland.
That worked well for him last week. Week before, not so much, but last week it worked well for him. Now let's go to some Major League Baseball. The Milwaukee Brewers are at the Chicago Cubs. Maybe. I mean, it might
Fly
be
the
delayed.
W. Fly the W. I'm going Cubs.
Let's go Cubbies.
Well, then Milwaukee. You guys are making it easy. I'm either going to make great strides this week or else I'm really going to be in the basement.
Okay, so now hockey, National League Hockey.
Okay.
Game 7.
All right.
So it's tied. I think it's tied 2-2. Anyway, the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just thinking about this. They spell Leafs like not leaves.
Yeah.
Like not plural Leafs. It's just Leafs with an S.
Well, they're Canadians.
Okay, that's
So,
okay.
yeah,
That's
okay.
how that works. I was just thinking. I noticed that a couple weeks ago, and I was typing that out, going, "Well, I guess." Yeah. So, Toronto Maple Leafs at the Boston Bruins in the Garden. Game 7.
Just in the Garden. That would be another place I'd love to announce sometime. So I'm just going to go, in the Garden. Home
Okay.
team. Home team.
Well, now I'm going to have, since I've been agreeing with Gina the entire time, I guess I need to go against the grain. And I hate to do it, but I'm going to go Maple Leafs. Because I'm not very good at English either, so.
I know nothing about hockey. Boston. That's
Okay.
one. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Boston.
So let's do a little NCAA baseball.
Okay.
We have number 2, Arkansas, versus number 8, Kentucky. And when I clicked on it, it went, I don't know where it's at. I don't know if it's Arkansas or it's at Kentucky. But number 2 versus number 8 in the SEC.
Yeah. So I feel like Kentucky's on a roll right now. Kenny Brooks just transferred there to be the women's basketball coach from Virginia Tech. Georgia Amore, one of my favorite players from
Yes.
Virginia Tech, also just transferred to
Yes.
Kentucky. So because of nothing baseball related and all women's basketball related, I'm going Kentucky.
And, I really like their hire for the men's basketball job, too.
Yeah.
Pope from BYU.
Okay.
Get him out of the Big 12.
Yeah.
Because he's an excellent coach. And he played at Kentucky. So, did you see that when they announced him?
I did not.
See, he played on a national championship team with like Jamal Mashburn. I mean, just studs. So they walked into the arena, the national championship team from that year, back in the day, and they all walked in. And the place,
awesome.
Rump Arena, was full. Bad story, but I have a cousin who is not in good shape. He had a massive heart attack, lives in Fayetteville. And
Fayetteville.
Oh, yeah,
Sorry, Southern girl here. Fayetteville.
Louisville. So I'm going to have to go Arkansas. And they're
Okay.
number 2, so I'll go higher seed.
I'll guess Arkansas.
I looked this up, and I'll give you a little insider information. I will say Oklahoma State won last night.
Yeah.
So this is game 2 of the series. Anyway, Oklahoma versus Oklahoma State.
I'm going Oklahoma. Just their resume, their history, their years. They're at home, and especially if they lost last night.
Yes,
yeah, I'm going Oklahoma.
That's exactly what